Hey guys, Tony King here with another After Effects tutorial. Well, this one is for beginners, and it will be the first of a few that I make for beginners. In this episode, I just want to go over how to get started. So here you have After Effects, you'd open it, and you get this page. What you want to do is hit New Project. So my layout might be a little bit different than yours. I just move some things up here just so I have more space on my timeline, but you can move different things in different places to your liking. So now we have it. We have a project tab over here where you'll see all your compositions, solids, and footage. And down here is where you'd have your timeline. Then some paragraph and tracker might be down here for some of you, but tracker is to track motion in some of your videos. Paragraph is for some text to decide the alignment and some of the spacing. Character is for text itself, um, and like the size and spacing between letters. Libraries is where you can put other things you make in other Adobe apps to bring into here. Alignment is for text or any solids in a composition to align them to say the left or the center. And then you have an effects and presets tab, which this is where a lot of your effects are. Most of the effects you will use are actually here. See, like color correction, distortion, um, generate, a lot of these, and there's a lot of presets as well. Preview is where you can always just hit the space bar to start, as I have the shortcut of space bar, or you can come up here and hit play when you want to watch what you've made. Then audio, you can see the audio and edit it a little bit, and info is just info. So now to get started, actually for me when I was learning, it took me a little bit to get started. So you go to composition up at the top and hit new composition. So here you get this composition settings window, and we can go ahead and call this composition. I want to make this 1920 by 1080 at a 16:9 ratio. This is the equivalent of like full HD or something, I think. And then at frame rate, make sure you have 29.97. And resolution, you can leave that at full. And duration, let's make the duration 6 seconds. Okay? And the background color, this one doesn't actually matter. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So this background color is just something in the background. It's not actually there. Because if you hit toggle transparency grid, you just see the white and gray boxes as you would see in something that doesn't have a background. But you can change this color just to contrast it, what you have. So here we have our composition, but there's nothing in this composition. So let's go ahead to layer and go to new at the very top, and we can find solid. We want to make a new solid, so hit solid. Now we get another solid settings window, and let's just call this test solid. Okay, and you want to make it to the comp size, which mine already was, and let's make the color medium red. That's fun. Okay, so what we have now is this red solid, and you see these red sizing tools on the edges where you can change the size of it, but I won't go into that right now. So what I want to show you now is different things you can do with this. So if you see this little drop down button, you can go down to transform, and you get down all these different effects. Anchor point, which is this little point in the middle. You can go up here and hit this this button or Y, and you can move this around. And any effects you make, or based around this point. So let's put it on the far left side on the angle. Now we have position under anchor point. For position, your position changes wherever you lay down your solid. And you can come down here and you can change the Y position and the X position, each one at a time, or if you move it by hand, they can both move at the same time. Then we have scale, and right now we're at 100 by 100, which is the regular. And you see, if you scale it down, it scales at this point that we just created on the far left side. And you see this this little constrained proportions. If you unselect that, you can change the width and the length or height individually instead of keeping them the same. And then we have rotation. It will rotate along this point by how much you rotate it, and the opacity just says how much it is visible. So let's leave this at 100. Let's leave this all to the basic proportions right now. But what you will see is, but never mind. By the way, for anchor point, the shortcut is Y to get to the button so that you can move it. Let's go back to the selection tool. For position, when you select your solid inside the composition and you hit P, only the position will show up. If you hit S, the scale will show up. If you hit R, the rotation will show up. That seems pretty straightforward, but for opacity, it is actually T. Okay? But let's go down back to this so that we can see everything. And you'll see these little stopwatches on the side. And these are to make keyframes. Keyframes basically are points inside a composition where you can decide how big or small the position of your solid is at that exact moment. And what happens between these keyframes, it goes from one value to the other. So let's start off with position. We can hit the stopwatch here, and you'll see this little diamond at the very first frame. Let's go ahead to just a few frames. It doesn't have to be a lot. And go ahead and move it. No. Let's move it to the right, just a little bit, just to see what we can do. Now you see if you hit the space bar, it moves to the right. And now if you go back to the beginning and see all your values, you see we want to put it back to -1.9 on mine at least. Yours might be a little bit different, but do not worry about that. And so now we just have it going back and forth. Now for scale, let's say I want to make this a little less tall, so I want to see the edges on the top. Let's go ahead and make the edges down to 75. But then at the very end, I want it to come into a full size. So let's bring that keyframe forwards to the middle frame, and then at the very end, scale it to 100. And there you have it. This is just to see our different possibilities, let's say. Now for rotation, let's start out with a small, like -8 rotation, and at the middle of this animation, let's make it +8, and then at the very end, let's make it 0, just to show what we can do with our rotations. And this is looking pretty pointless, but at least you're learning what you can do. And opacity, let's just start it at 0 and make it 100 at the middle of this animation, just so that we can see what we're doing in the process. And here we have it. This is what you should have made. And there. So one thing I like to do, I like to select my solid and hit U. When I hit U, I get all the effects I've made. And I like this because sometimes I'm not using certain effects. So if I wasn't using scale, I wouldn't want to have scale showing, and plus it saves a little bit of room. And this works for any effects that you make as well. So here's our solid, and I encourage you to experiment a lot with this. So now what I want to do is I want to add a text. So go to Layer, New Text. Now I'm using a Myriad Pro typeface font. So that was just the latest one I was using. So let's write in test. And now if you hit the selection tool, these little movement boxes come out as well. Now I don't like where my anchor point is down here. I want it to be more directly onto the corner. So I will move it up onto the corner. That is something that if you forget to do, you can ruin all of your animations just right there. So let's just make this really big, and let's go back down to this timeline. So let's say we want the text to come in after our animation, just like 2 frames. We would go at the very beginning of this and drag it over to where we want it to start. Now we just see it appear. First let's edit what we want it to look like. So I'll go here and I want to make it white. So let's make it white. Then if you click this other little color box, this is the outline. I don't really want an outline, but I'll make it black just to show you what you can do with it. Okay, so we have the text at 347. That's okay. The letter spacing is at, let's say, 12. And then down here is actually where we have the width of the outline. So let's go ahead and just make that 3. Then these other values, let's not worry about those. I think the text looks pretty good. But actually down here you can decide if you don't want to hold down shift the entire time or caps lock the entire time. You can just decide to make everything all caps. Just down here. Okay, let's say I want this to start at the very left of this solid. Okay, so here we have it on Align tool. We hit the horizontal left alignment. Okay, so here we have it. Now let's hit P on our text solid, and hit the stopwatch. Let's go just a few frames and hit all the way to the horizontal right alignment. Now this will animate it for us to go from left to right. This is kind of slow. I'll shorten it just a little bit, and this is not bad. But this is the only effect I'll go into today. But this is one effect that I really like for text, which is the typewriter effect. So just type in typewriter, and it's under presets text animate in. You wouldn't want to look for that just like that. You would want to just type in the effect you want. But I do encourage you to go. Actually, I would look up here at the effects bar up here, and when you're selected on something here, now you can just go through and see all your color correction effects. There's quite a lot of them, and just try and see what you can do. I encourage that. But what I want to do with typewriter, first of all I want to go to the beginning of this solid, because you see if you go over here and then you drag your effect onto it, it starts. So let's hit U just to see our effects. It starts right where you dragged it. You don't want that. So let's go back to the beginning and drag typewriter onto our solid in the timeline. But now you see this is a really long animation. So let's hit U, and we see this ending keyframe very far away. So actually I want to bring the position keyframe a little bit farther out and drag the ending of the typewriter keyframe in. It should look something like this. But that's a little bit too fast. See, this is a sort of a test and go. So I will actually make this all a little bit longer, just so you can actually see that it's typing out. But now it's typing out while I have the position. So let's just bring back all of the positions back. And here we have it. Test, and it goes over. So this is just the basics and some things I'd like to know when I was starting. So here you have it. This is the end of the first episode I will make for Beginner's Guide to After Effects. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to check out the other videos I will be making, where I go more in depth into effects and other things you can do inside of After Effects. Thank you.